All right, well, back to a new episode. And today, this is super exciting because the person we have on today is someone that you may or may not heard of. When you think about YouTube, you think about relocation and you think about a relocation guide. I mean, you can go anywhere with that. And this guy has crushed it and capitalized on the Florida relocation guide. Dan and I, welcome Dan. We're just talking to him a little bit before we got on air, a little bit about EXP, real coaching. Like, we have a lot of shit to unpack here because I think Dan, he did what? 30,000 subscribers, 444 videos. The guy and his team did like $300 million in freaking transaction volume. And he's like, I was like, he's an underground rapper. Like, no one knows who he is. And he doesn't even say yes to a lot of this type of shit. So I'm super excited to have him on, man. How's your day going so far, Dan?
This good, man. This is a treat. I like finding these all-stars in the rough, man. That's what I call them.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's get this kicked off, man. What's up, Adam? The man, the myth, Adam Hancock. Check him out. Owner, Sunshine State Company. Man, it was just such a pleasure. We actually met on the Liftoff Agent side, and you checked us out, and we went back and forth for a while before we went ahead and kicked things off, and now we're lifting off some sites for you. And as always, we appreciate the business. And then as we've been kind of unpacking our relationship here, I know that you just adopted, or you not adopt, just adopt. How long did you adopt ago?
My son's about to turn 6, and we got him pretty much as an infant.
Okay, nice. So 6 years ago, obviously, and just because we just did a live on IG. So if anyone saw the live on IG and is now here, that's why it was fresh in my mind as far as just adopting.
That process is the catalyst for everything that we're going to talk about next, because that's the reason I left finance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's go. All right. Well, let's unpack this shit. So, like, I know you come from like a completely different world, and then now you're here in real estate, and you're not like a traditional real estate agent. You come from finance, you understand SOPs, KPIs, building businesses, and you want to scale this thing, and you have some crazy ideas. So let's start from the beginning, man. Like, what were you doing before real estate, and what was the catalyst to get into real estate?
So my background's it's in corporate finance, but in analytics. So I wrote algorithms for predictive analytics. So we bought commodities for large manufacturers and stuff well in advance by writing mathematical equations to try to predict it. So I spreadsheet land basically. So it's large data sets made small, which ended up being useful.
That shit.
Yeah,
we get along.
Yeah. So it was, one of the things about this industry that so I always thought real estate was like an underqualified industry. And I liked like people that had deep expertise in other areas or whatever. But basically I was 30, I was in Tampa. I grew up in Sarasota, and I was 31, and my first son was adopted, and I was commuting, 30 miles in Tampa, which takes an hour and 15 minutes each way. And my son was really young, and everyone around me in finance made me feel that wouldn't matter. And it mattered way more than I thought. I'm just in a culture of travel and business and all, and people are just away from their families. My family, me and my wife are real kind of close in a way that like, that's not something we seek. So when I had my first son, I didn't realize how much it would affect way earlier than I thought. 4 or 5 months, crying when I'm leaving. Worst part, he started getting used to me missing stuff. And then didn't care. And he was like 8 months old. And I was like, this isn't going to work. So I was just twirling around, not knowing what to do. And I got some heaven sent LinkedIn cold headhunt thing that was real. And it was an interim CFO repair thing. I would embed in companies as a consultant. It's supposed to be 3 months. And I was 31. I'm 36 now. And I was like, if I can play this right, I'm getting the hell out of here. And I got my license in 3 weeks online through Real Estate Express, I think. And that was the catalyst. So it was trying to marry that world. I was used to the money was good in finance. And I needed to try to replicate that quickly in some sustainable fashion that I controlled without it being beyond 9 to 5. And that was the beginning of me trying to leverage all of my weird background experience in trying to create a business that I actually wanted to have if it worked. And if not, I was just back where I was already started.
Wow.
And now
I love that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now, how did you take it from like, I'm a brand new agent to where you are now in terms of volume of business? Because there's got to be systems, maybe some predictive analytics, some data behind this enterprise?
Well, it was simple. So I don't know if I'll ruffle feathers here, but what happened is my best friend owns a brokerage. I jumped on with him real quick and was like, I don't need anything. I just need to sit somewhere. I moved to Sarasota versus Tampa because the average age at that time was 65. I'm a fish out of water in Sarasota's real estate market. The average agent was over 50. So, and it was Florida style, newer construction homes. So less inspections, less not Tampa's urban historic. And there's a lot of me in Tampa. So that was my first thing, was like, just do it here and I can do the whole thing. I know both areas. But I went to them, and then I made more money in finance than the broker was making there. So I was just like, it's kind of hard to get advice. And then I went to Keller Williams, where my buddy I graduated high school with, he was the CEO, his sister owned it, and she was a big agent in Sarasota. And I wanted to see what all the top Keller Williams people did. Yeah. And it blew my mind, because I'm not in a real estate background. The number 1, 2, and 3 guys were calling expireds in 2020. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, does anyone pick these phone calls up? I was like, you're not worried that everyone has this phone number? It blew my mind. I'm not used to that world. And then I went to this Bold thing. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. Keller Williams.
And I sat in, and this was 2020. So this was their next gen. This was how to be like the next, what do we do now that expireds are dying or whatever? And I sat in this room and saw them have everybody call. Well, they're having to step outside and call people, and I was just calling like my sister and my friend and stuff. And but they were calling everybody in their network, and they were acting like they wanted to catch up under the guise that they would eventually ask them what they did. And then boom, oh yeah, I'm in real estate. Oh, cool. Well, keep me in mind. And they were teaching this robotic top of mind awareness thing to people. And I was watching everybody in the room, like it was like, we're pumped. We're so pumped. Like it was revolutionary. And I sat back in that room and I made the whole plan in bold while I finished out faking those phone calls. I was like, if they're all running this way, this is the opportunity, because they're excited about it. They're going to teach this at mass. And the people that are the biggest agents here have no idea what the hell they would do today to replicate it, other than to try to get a bunch of minions to do something that they don't even believe in. If they get enough of them at scale, then that money will loop back to them at some high split. And I just could not believe that was all the top agents everywhere I went. It was the same conversation. And so I had owned a little keto business on the side in finance. I had like 18 side hustles all the time because I have this personality, and finance wasn't enough to satiate it. And I'd messed around with the idea of organic. Make something, let someone find it. Make something, let someone find it. And so I bought a Zillow zip code, and I was slinging like $180,000 townhomes in Riverview, Florida. And the whole entire time I was like, the only reason I'm doing this and the only reason I'm doing finance is I need to make videos for 2 years. And if no one cares, I'll stop. But I'm not going to ask for anything. No call to actions. I knew enough to make a lead magnet. So I was like, 100 people view this. If one person buys, like it's so powerful. And they're knocking on doors. They're lead genning 4 hours a day. You know how many videos I can make if I wake up and make something? And so all that to say, I started that in January 2020, and then COVID hit in March, and more people got on the internet than ever in history in March 2020. And it was just that circumstance that probably sped my timeline up 2 years. No one was doing YouTube other than the Portland guys. And I got a bunch of people that saw my stuff that probably shouldn't have that early. So the power in that is that I did 67 million in the first 6 months, and I never sold real estate. But I learned more about that industry than anyone could ever have tried to tell someone. And I was the only one in the world that knew that stuff in my head, because everyone called me. I answered every phone call. So after like 5 phone calls, I started making videos on what we toured and what they said to me on the phone. And then people are watching and they're like, oh my God, he read my mind. And I just had a feedback loop. And then I am a business guy. So I got a high net worth clientele because the videos I was making weren't come move to Florida, this is Siesta Key Beach. I was sharing 45-minute long screen share tools that I built in Excel, and I built UIs on the front of them, because when I learned modeling back in the day, they didn't have BI tools. So I had to build user interfaces with slicers on top of Excel, like Access before websites existed. But I was the only one in the world that knows how to pull the data from MLS, because it's restricted. You have to pull 500 records at a time. I was the only one that knows how to mine it. and why you would even pull it. So I built tools where buyers would not need to use me, but the people that like that content have a lot of money, and they're my old life. They're all the people I used to work with. So I learned the big thing is I'm so confident because everything I know, I manually created. I had ideas, and all I did was get better at utilizing them. And the one thing I did that other people didn't do was I always wanted to do the business. I never wanted to sell the real estate. Not one time. I stopped going out immediately. I was not excited about any of that. I was excited about trying to guarantee the certain amount of calls. So the whole time I was about the business. Customer service was terrible. I didn't care because I was like, none of these people will talk to each other. I could say no to people for a year and none of them would know. I could build the whole business system and no one even know I'm saying no when they call, because all I want to do is try to predict the call.
Wow.
So that's the biggest difference is my background was uniquely oriented because all I did all day was present P&Ls to the board of directors of all the corporations I worked at, because I just had a unique mathematics background with a very outgoing personality. I like presenting. So I just had, when I saw the numbers, I knew what to do with it. When I saw the margin, I knew what to do with it. And I'm a head case because everyone I asked for advice, it didn't make sense to me. Everybody was kind of greedy and they cared about ego. I didn't want to keep credit. I wanted anonymity. I still kind of want anonymity. So I think it worked out, but it could have not if I went a year and never got a call. But what I just described there, that last statement is why the barrier of entry is so dynamic, because without the ability to predict if you suck, if you hate making the videos, the amount of people that could go a year and not get a call, it's probably bordering on ignorance than it is on them being like them just having a good work ethic. It's probably like you actually is not going to work. So so it's very fresh because I mean my entire thing was 2.5 years. The smartest thing I did was I went generous very early. I knew it could not be me, and I didn't even want to sell the real estate. I needed people being okay with going elsewhere, and I needed to own the whole structure so that I could do the splits in a way where there's no resentment that could build. Like I knew what agents cared about. I gave them all of it. I don't care if they even know my name, because I know that I'm making the content on my platform. I'll always own that. Yeah. I could take most people and convert if I describe to the buyer, like, listen, this is the greatest person of all time you've ever met. They're my best friend, because I control the lead source. So that's the smartest thing I did was I built the business knowing that I had a unique opportunity that may never come back around. And the thing about not being able to guarantee if the business is going to come in is you're scared all the time. So my solution was to make 300 videos a year, not one. Because if I can't control if they're going to call, I can at least find out faster if they're not going to call. And then I just felt like I just happen to be the perfect person for video marketing. Like I talk like this. If you meet me at a coffee shop, you're like, what the hell is that? But in this world where no one's talking back to me and I'm just in a camera, this is energetic for me. So I knew I could bleed people out, because if you hate making the video, you hate the way you look, you want to sell real estate, and you're doing it because someone told you to, you can't beat someone like me who could make 14 videos a day just because I actually like
it. You created the lead
manifesto.
Yeah. No.
Fuck yeah.
That's you created the lead generation machine that fueled the system in which you could remove yourself from, which most real estate agents, if they remove themselves, there is no business.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly
that's the underlining. I was going to say this one thing. I sell a lot of new construction, and sometimes I come across very experienced agents. They've been in the business 20, 30 years, right? And that's the reason they're working with these builders, because the builders are obviously hiring the most experienced agent with the biggest name. And I always ask them the one question. I'm like, how do you remove yourself from this business but still make money? And they're like, oh, well, I might try to sell my brokerage. Or I'm like, you're not at a brokerage. You're like at Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams. Like, yeah, you can maybe sell your database, maybe sell your team if you have like high production numbers, but how do you remove yourself but still sell real estate into your retirement? And this is exactly what I've been kind of
I love that Zillow leveraged that, and then have a nest egg, have some cash flow, and then go to YouTube and then do the YouTube thing. And then YouTube, you basically hacked it. And like, you're like, now, like, all right, I'm just gonna be the face. I'm just gonna like hand out deals. Like, here you go. And like, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So like, Sunshine State Company, how did you start to cultivate that, figure out the name, start bringing people in? Did agents just see you kind of like a Mike Sherrard we're talking about offline and just say, hey, I want to be part of your team? Are you headhunting? Like, how did you kick that off?
It was kind of necessity. I was just explaining with a great example of a guy from like Exit Realty in this morning that was talking about, he does well. And he was just talking about like, why would it make sense to be somewhere else basically that's not on his own? And I mean, that's the way I built it. So I built it out of necessity because I was at Compass and Keller Williams and they would not allow me to physically arrange this as a business industry. Like they don't understand it.
No.
Like they still, I mean, Compass 3 months ago was still like, these are cute little YouTube videos. And I was 100 million higher than anyone at the agency. So the difference is I don't think YouTube is social media. It's organic search.
Yes.
Someone already looked up something. I'm just saying, if they found me, is that what they think they want? And when they watch me, is that what they actually wanted to find? And that's click-through rate and the length of time watched. And that is the algorithm. But I'm not optimizing you to passively see me accidentally where you wouldn't even know what the hell you're looking at. That's how serious I treat it. I mean, it's not fickle. I mean, all of the businesses from it. No traditional, nothing, nothing ever. So that at a corporate brokerage, I thought they'd be like, that's funny, go do your thing. They actually were resistant. That was like, it was this weird threat thing that I didn't see coming. Watermark your videos, compliance. I thought they would use me as an ambassador to try to internally own me to teach just the Compass agents how to do it. They took the opposite approach. So all of that taught me was like, I need to own all of it. I need to cut out all the nonsense fees. I need to be able to go to someone. I don't like partners. So I need to be able to have a team that all has the right incentives to be here when and if I choose to use them, but also be able to act independently. And when they do their own thing and when they're with me, those are two separate arrangements. They do not relate. So I have a rent team. If you come here with a big team, you could go to all 30 of my agents and say, hey, I want to go 50-50, 70-30. If they consent, I'm not taking any of that money. So I wanted to build something that translated to all of Florida. And I capped it at that. I wanted it to be branding that you would use independently, but it was also discreet. I wanted to control my team fully. Like I wanted to be able to do 300 million and range it however the hell I want. And I wanted to be able to position it where if someone calls, what's important about us is our highest team members have no real estate experience, because if you try to regular real estate, my clients, we're not selling real estate. We're like touring people on a relocation system and waiting for them to make a decision. So it's a very subtle, discreet thing. And it's an ROI of how much time you need to spend, because a lot of times it was a lot of talking and I would never go. It was just, it looked like a lot of value, but I was never there on site. It's very subtle. You don't need to blitz these people. So, I arranged it so that I have full visibility. Someone like, I do a video, I just did a video on Lakewood Ranch. It was 10,000 records. It took me 18 hours to build the model. I did a 13-minute video about it. 80 people downloaded it yesterday.
Wow.
So, but my entire database did something weird like that on YouTube. Not a single person in my database didn't come from that. Well, Follow Up Boss, I have the origin story of every interaction. So if you call me a year from now, and a year ago you downloaded that Lakewood Ranch spreadsheet, 6 months later you engaged in my newsletter or whatever, when we hand that out to an agent, I want them to act like that's not in a silo. I want them to call with that context. I want them to describe themselves to me like we're partners, and like it's not, you know what I mean? So then when they call, our conversion rate's 99%, unless you left the market. There's no reason to do it. It's subtle. So I needed control of that because I'm a lead magnet business guy. I'm a marketer. All traditional real estate blows my crap up. Like we're not a 1% conversion. You called me on YouTube about a spreadsheet. You're not asking, we're not interviewing different agents here. All I need to know is like, are you going to buy a year or 2 years from now? That's the only game we play. And then I wanted to build something where someone like Dan that's elsewhere could come in and do everything that they have desired to do independently and not take anything from that. the branding, the way I don't care how you brand yourself, that doesn't benefit me if Dan's getting incremental business to make him actually look like he's with me too. But at any point, if Dan wants to use the machine to get a listing, you'll go against all those other guys, but you can walk in the door and say something about us that no one else can say. You're trying to get referrals and you send them the YouTube channel. Now there's no like retainer exclusivity model. They're like, holy shit, what is this? Like no one knows what it is. So everything we built is around, you don't have to use it, you can. And we have simple stuff that we can do stuff that other people can't. But if you want anonymity and function completely independently, it's Sunshine State Company. You don't even have to put real estate because we own the DBA. SSC, just the S. Our stuff's cooler. Our branding's cooler. It's clean. It's simple. And the best Coldwell Banker person can't beat the best Sotheby's and the best Michael Saunders. And the new kid on the block always has a shot, but it can't be jankety. So if we're going to win, I think individuality is going to win out because I can't outbuy all these other brokerages and be that 30-year agent. So I needed to look independent on purpose because at least I'm different. At least I'm original if I walk in the door. But when I walk in the door, I act like this. And every other person walks in with some buttoned up presentation and uses the brokerage's volume to leverage. I think it's going to be white noise. I think it's all going to implode at some point. So yeah, I think just the ownership of the structure is important. I'm a business partner guy. Anyone walks in and says anything interesting about the way they want to partner, commission splits, what we could do together, I think it's interesting. Like if I'm sitting in a room with Dan, what he is, I'm not. I like to build, everything I'm doing on YouTube is building concepts around the likeness of someone else. A lot of times using their image, not actually their value they're adding to my content. Me having a conversation with Dan, I'll add something where I can position something that I did not have before. And I need a bunch of people that want to do 25 million with someone on my team, not me. And if I do 10, 15 of those, then I'll do $1 billion a year. And I need to get them comfortable with that, not me. So I'm building models around not just matchmaking, but I'm building models around where agents' individual volume will be people that actually called our numbers and asked for them. And think about that conversion rate. The New Jersey guy with the New Jersey guy and the mom with the mom. And so I do in collaboration. That's what I'm doing now is like collaboration podcasts around ideas that organically get leads because the topic's evergreen, moving to Venice with a family. But I'm not doing that as a talking head. When you pop on, I'm talking to the lady that relocated. That's an agent with me. And so when people reach out, they're like, oh, I want to speak to Jeannie. Then eventually her entire portfolio will be a sphere that I made. And then I'm going to replicate that over and over and over. And a bunch of people will make $200,000 a year in the wake of me trying to build economies of scale. But it's an aggressive, generous model. My break even's like 110 million a year, but I can't do 400 million without this model. Yeah. It's expensive in the short run, but it's very hard for someone to act like that and year in and year out be able to organically produce over 100 million on YouTube. I don't know if anyone in the country ever has done it. So that is a long story of how it was. No. I just don't know any other way to do it. I looked at all of them. Any other voice, any other restriction comes down to like, you can't be the main guy at an agency you don't own necessarily and also have some sort of exit plan because to Dan's point, I looked at someone trying to buy what even I am and which is unique. And you can't put a multiple on what the hell happens if I'm not involved. Yeah. And then how do you run it as an absentee? Yeah. You can't. I think why run it as an absentee if you could own it, have a paid broker, and at least I can monitor a conversion. I make video 90% of the time. I occasionally will speak to someone, but the power with doing 100 million and having a bunch of people here to try to do it with you. Now I have a bunch of people to talk to and I form all podcast ideas and I do all my content around having those people here on retainer that are incentivized to be here because they're doing my volume. And it gives me fodder to talk about. And someone that doesn't sell the real estate actively day to day, you're going to run out of things to say. Yeah. So the leads to me create the ideas for the video. And eventually it just gets like wildly interesting. And I don't care what the hell they do. I just need to control the audience because commissions and all this stuff are all going to get weird. But if someone's physically moving somewhere and they need to be in a house, there's some money to be made there if you can provide value. And I want to be there if buyers have to start paying commission at some point or listings are already weird. I want to own an audience and then decide how to monetize it.
Wow.
You're doing something that no one else is doing.
First here,
Yeah.
real estate versus tech. Let's go.
Yeah. No, it's the brilliance in all of this is that COVID created a unique economy in which people were relocating. You were in like one of the top 5 states for relocation, which definitely played a part in some of the
and the number 1 metro. So yeah, very fortunate.
Yeah.
That,
but I say this even at small scale, like even if you live somewhere that isn't one of those markets, right? Still people are moving. Like U-Haul wouldn't exist if people weren't moving places, right? And I think it's just how you create cat traps and magnets and value that real estate agents don't understand. They don't understand how to create the high value content that ties to the video, which then has SEO and marketing first method. Basically, a method to the madness is that you need to be a marketing first, then real estate agent. And I think that's what you've really proven here is that like that model 3x, 4x you quicker than just being an expert in real estate.
Yeah.
They have to find you. There's so many more people that could find you than you can find them. It's scary, but everything has to be around the attraction of it. It's so cliche to say, but every time you get depressed, just look up net migration in your market. Some of the best marketers in the world are those moving companies. All the blog rankings are moving companies. But you don't have to be 18,000. You don't have to be 10,000 a year like we are here. It's just you need to 100 people is a lot of money. But it's the one thing that it's the one thing I think everyone knows. Everyone knows it's what they should be doing. Like not in this fashion, but everyone knows that if I reach out to them and there's a billion realtors, what's the end game in that?
I love that. There isn't. And I think for the viewers and listeners out there, just to kind of like give some context here. I mean, it's crazy to think that like Adam is literally setting up, and it's great. Like it's behind me, links are down below, the Florida relocation guide, the smartest way to move or invest in state of Florida, which is awesome. And the new videos every week. And then the fact that Adam, you're doing like this persona of like this front end guy, who's the business guy, the analytical guy, the marketing guy. And then you're like funneling these personality types to the right demographic. And then now take it to the next level with these other YouTube channels. I mean, how many YouTube channels do you have currently right now? I think we just talked about it before.
So I have so I separate some by market. So there's only so many videos you can do. That's the problem. Is like you'll run out. That's the cap of the model is, unless you're doing finance content, it's hard to be just an evergreen winner because it's so niche. You're a niche celebrity for a short period of time in people's lives, and when they're done moving, you're not relevant. But I have 5 or 6. Some are just real. I'm going more to this format. It's easier to have conversations. It's easier to moderate conversations and optimize a topic based on how I know to optimize it. Also, I think they're more useful, honestly. I think there's stuff that you guys could ask me that I will respond in or for my clients and stuff that you just will never get into that texture. What I'm doing is I'm trying to replicate when people inquired. That 20 minutes I gave them, that's what I'm trying to replicate. It's the most useful thing people thought that existed before. It's contextual. It's narrow and contextual. And I optimize for macro searchability. And I get them narrow when they're ready to be narrow. It's like a system like that. So I run 3 talking head channels based in Southwest Florida for incremental business that I'm trying to purposely have them view it as incremental. And then I run a company channel here that's brand new. It just launched Monday. And that's podcast. That's kind of an agent benefit here. It's similar business I already get, but all conversations, mostly with my agents here. And then with other agents, like I like this kind of stuff. I don't care if we're at the same agency. I think that stuff's nonsense. So I like even agents we're talking to that aren't with us on their new home reps and stuff like that. And then luxury condominiums launches in about a week. I'm talking to developer representatives for pre-construction condominiums in the opposite of a bougie environment. So no B-roll, boutique, real-time human interest, which is the opposite of luxury condo world.
Which will do well.
Yeah.
I think it's more useful because it's like a lot of those people are the smartest people in the room. Yeah. And I want to put them in an environment where their presentations are unbelievable, But until they decide which unit to look at, then they need the separation of it. Yeah. So I'm trying to give a way where people can just know like the geography and the history and the person that sells it, why they're so tied to it. And we're trying to cut the void. So I like that one. That's my favorite one so far. I just love that. I love the conversation. So all I'm doing is I'm optimizing. YouTube's biggest push right now is video podcasts. They want to be Spotify. They hired a podcast guy. They got a podcast tab now. So I'm like, if you're recording audio, if it's not simulcast on video, it makes no sense to me. So I'm YouTube.
Yeah, we started Real Estate First Tech because of that video. One of the very first ones.
You know, and then audio is an offshoot. That's easy, right? You can extract the audio. But I optimize videos that people would search for already. Just how I do my main crap. It's just when they get there, it's a conversation. So conversations I could run unlimited just because this is me. I could stuff that I don't have to prepare for is what I'm doing now. If I talk to someone like you guys that through all of our experience, we can answer all the questions, then I can show up because I don't need preparation to moderate. And that's really key of talking head videos. I have to really organize and drive the whole ship. No one's talking back. So I can run 2 to 3 videos of that at max. That's ROI positive a week. My Florida Relo is about 1 video a week now. And that's 299 million of the 300 millions, that one channel. The rest are brand new, under 300 subscribers, brand new. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out that. Like, is there a reason to have multiple channels? How do people view? What do they want? I don't think they want 4 videos a week. And yeah, it's again, it's a feedback loop, right? The best thing about the activity is, you're not guessing anymore. But people get messed up by like the subscriber thing versus the sales kills them.
Yeah.
Like there's my buddy like hates YouTube and he does not want to be the guy. He's always trying to outsource it. And he's just my best friend. So he saw me and he's like, son, we were talking, we used to walk the mall in Tampa. We were both in finance and just try to figure out how to like do something different. And I was like, dude, in 2019, I was like, we got to do something with YouTube. I don't know what it is. I'm not even in real estate yet. His dad owned a brokerage and I started in 2020. He didn't start. He started it like 2022 and they did 18 million last year and we did 105. So, but he half-assed that thing like you would not believe. And he does 15, 17 million on YouTube. He has 2,000 subscribers. I talk to the other people in the market. I know that the people, a lot of the big subscriber stuff, they're boosting ads. They're going only popular content. If you do why you should move away from the area you live in, it's a high search topic. Obviously, they're not going to buy real estate from it. If you're shitting on the area you live in and you sell real estate, look popular. And people love that esteem and it messes them up. And if you could realize that
I have
subscribers and everybody didn't know who the hell you were and you sold 50 million, would you be happier? Probably.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that.
Thing kills everyone. It's so cliche, but it just crushes everything. Insecurity and ego.
Well, it's good for people to think about that when they're getting on YouTube. Do you want to be a Graham Stephan? Graham Stephan has a lot of a lot of subscribers, does really well, but he's monetizing and he does brand deals outside of selling real estate. Or do you want to be an Adam Hancock and do you want to sell real estate because you only have 29,000 subscribers, 444 videos, and 3.5 million views. From that, you've now earned what, $300 million worth of top line business. So it's like, you got to look at that and like think to yourself, what lane do you want to be in? We actually had, and he was already on the show as well, and a really good podcast episode with Huntington Beach guy. His name is Jeb Smith, and Jeb Smith does a little bit of the Graham Stephan stuff, but then now he's wanting to get into kind of the relocation guide for the greater, what is that? Honestly, Huntington
Sacramento, Beach. Maybe? I forgot where you're
I think it's
Huntington Beach.
Yeah, Huntington Beach. And so he's given, the sponsor Liftoff an opportunity. I'll give you a year, right? So he's going to do videos for a year all around that area. See if you can bring in more business and see what it looks like. Cause he's now paying his bills from monetizing on YouTube from his Graham Stephan-esque type content. But then he wants to see that pendulum swing to the other side and see what can I do if I have a YouTube channel that's going to be more about the area that I serve and could it potentially saving time and all the things. But I got a question for you about your brokerage. If say Dan wanted to join your outfit, right? Are you like, hey, like you're getting on YouTube, here's your studio, this is what the videos you're filming, or like, hey, I'm on YouTube, like we'll just do some collab stuff and I'm going to hand you your leads. Like, what does that look like? How does it work?
So for the most part, like we were talking about this on the live a little bit. For the most part, I think the core competency thing is real. I think collaborating with people in separate lanes is very real. So most people with us, I found that creating environments, I feel like this is a good environment for me. And a lot of people, most of our agents just want to do only my business. That's it. Like my entire brokerage is like my team basically right now. I mean, we're trying to get them to do some of this stuff on their own if they're smart about it, but a lot of them are 55 years old. Like the exit plan is just liquidity. But for the most part, so what I found is I can create all of that around them, but it's always 20 birds, one stone. So I wanted a way where I'm not touring as much. So I have the Florida Relo stuff, and that one, I know if I'm going to make one video a week, not 3 with all this energy, I want to diversify. If I'm going to go to 1, I want them to be as Adam content as it possibly gets, which are going to be less popular. But I'm going analytical, spreadsheets, stuff that I don't think people would try to even replicate. I can't do 1 retirement video a week if I'm going to leave that channel alone like that. With the rest of my energy, though, I'm going to create more stuff. And one of the things I was looking at was, in the future, if I live anywhere else, do anything else, how do I stay engaged with all these leads? How do I stay in the market when I'm not touring anymore? How do I find out what's happening? What do I, with the agents all here that are all touring my stuff on behalf, and all the conversation I'm having at the bar with the couple like the top guys, they all relocated on YouTube with me. 4 of our 5 highest found me on YouTube, relocated, and they're our best salesmen because they know the process. Interesting.
Wow.
But those are the guys I hang out with. They're all over 50. And but the magic that was happening at the bar conversations, I was like, there's something here. So what I decided to do was like, that's perfect. Like Calendly, unlimitedly book it. They could just show up because I'm only going to create topics around something that they know or have done. Why I moved from Boston, living in Venice, Florida with a family. They're telling their story. There's nothing weird there. But what I'm going to do with that is like, that's a video on a separate channel that someone could find. 1. 2, I have conversations, give me a lot of ideas for my newsletter, anything else, and give me ideas for my talking head channel, which I'm saying this could stand alone. 3, I'll take that video to go on the main channel. I'll repurpose it into 21-minute videos. It takes me 30 minutes to film, a 28-minute recorded video that they just show up for. Very little preparation. My assistants can schedule that one without me, which is huge. And then she also repurposes it. And then my new website that you guys are building, I was telling Smith, your partner, that I don't want to do the traditional like featured listings and crap on their page. I want it very UI centric. And I'm going to syndicate only the content that they're in on private playlists. So now they have something they can show, they can point back to that they're proud of. And if they want to, and then it's all shareable from them. So they can, so instead of them creating like, I have a 22-year-old that's in Naples. She's unbelievable, but she's like, she's not a social media person, which I respect because I'm not really either. And she was like, they've been telling me I should do social. And I'm like, you could do social, or you could sit down with me 3 times a week, once a week. We'll talk for 15 minutes. I'll repurpose all of it, give it back to you. Just the answers to questions you asked. You can take all of that. That's your entire social media. It could be repurposed on something that we made easily. And then if you want to post anything else, it's gravy. So what I do for the agency is that's what I offer mainly is like, I'm interested that like, I have a Dan. Dan is like, has just from him talking to me about his background, I think in the optimization lane. So him describing his background means something to Dan, means something totally different to me. If he gets one listing, I'm like, I can turn this into something different. But my goal in life is to loop them back to Dan. I want Dan people going to Dan. So my website will be a showpiece that's gaudy for agents, but useful. It's not just pretty pictures. It's contextual content that then they could take and they could make a newsletter just to their part of my clientele that they have and say, hey, I was in this video with Adam. I also send crap to them. It's just like, that's why I say 20 birds, one stone. That whole concept's a 130-minute video. I was trying to solve a problem. That's a smarter way to solve that problem because it creates an entire another YouTube channel for me. And we filmed 12 of them already in the first week. It's that easy. That's all I want to do. Like I would love the audience to like this more because I could have 400 podcasts, I feel like. And then all the thumbnails are their face, not mine. I'm real small and they're big. It's the channel's called the Sunshine State Company. It's kind of hard to find, but I have 2 videos posted there if you look it up. But so then every thumbnail is a different face for them. We have behind the scenes. It literally creates all our social. But think about, you go to the agent's page, you click their headshot, interests, language. I want people to select the agent. They have an individual contact form. I want them to select the agent through my phone number, because the weird part about ego in that scenario is that is a concept. If you collaborate with people on content, that gets clouded on who's the man. You know, people will be like, oh, like the person that's getting calls are like, I must be pretty good at this. And, you know, but they're making it on a platform that's already built, right? Like if people watch this, you guys built the conduit of why people even care to watch it. So you're the 99, they're the 1. I play in the gray space of that area. I found that people don't really want to make content. They want to be famous. They want to like the way they look on camera, and they want to give people content. They don't want to create it. Most people in the world, I feel like, are that. So then it gets really powerful, because all the regular agents are great if you have someone that's creating the content around them. You know, so that's my system in 2023. That's why I found Liftoff Agent. I needed a website partner that were more developer centric, weren't trying to blitz API-ing listing searches as a heavy element to their thing. I needed a nice user interface. I needed to tell them I want 50 private playlists that syndicate here. I needed them to build something knowing that I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do next. So I needed it in real time. Yeah. And you guys are unbelievable in that facet, but I feel like I use you guys in a way that people might not even try to.
Oh, so no. We've been trying to explain that for 3, 4. I mean, I do it myself. I have private playlists. I have funnels. I have high value content. I've been trying to tell my own friends in my own market. I'm like, you're at Remax, dude. You're my competitor. Look what I'm doing. Buy this website. And then they're just like, I don't know how to.
They don't get it.
I don't get
it. But it's not competitive. It's because people can sit in a room in this conversation and they can be like, that guy talks way too much. They can choose. Yeah. People choose who they like. That's all YouTube is. Like, it's no one's can be better at it. People can be more inclined to it. If you're copying, someone's going to win, because you're going to copy and not know why they created I just described my origin. If you watch my channel and copy it, why I created that one video is some deep mouse trap that you don't understand. And I'm busy. Sometimes I record stuff just because I'm busy. So the biggest thing is literally staying in your own head. And all you need to learn is don't waste your time. Like, all you need to learn is where to put it, how to title it. Those are tools. Those are like, you know, that's why I'm thinking about doing like a 5-module, $100 thing where I give a manifesto, 1 module at a time, of why even create it and what it does. Like, people misunderstand who's going to call and when and why. Do you want that life? Doesn't organic marketing versus video, it's different. Organic does not mean video, does not mean YouTube. And then just breaking out the basics, like how many videos a week, why, when are you going to make them, inside, outside. And then, like, I think have you heard of the Content Tilt? Have you read that Content Inc. book?
No.
It's kind of a cool book. It's a good one for like someone starting out, but it talks about organic. It was back in the day. So it talks about like just picking what the best platform is, but all organic. But they talked about taking, it's the merge of what's unique about you and where you would find favor that comes easy. And like that to me would be like, everything I say, the same topic as you, I know I don't care about the aesthetics. I care about the numbers. So I can talk about 10 best places to retire different than you. I can arrange it different. I can pull data for all my, that's my tilt. But that's something that I have a clear advantage of that it would be hard for someone to replicate unless they went back 10 years and tried to do what my career was. Yeah. So I think that's what everyone should do on YouTube. They shouldn't say I'm the Excel realtor. It's too straightforward. You don't need a pigeonhole. They shouldn't name their channel after one city. It's unnecessary. People find videos, they don't find the channel. A lot of people have no idea what the hell the channel name is. They just know my name. So that's the mistakes I would avoid. I would not stay macro and talk about what you care about, not randomly. YouTube has to understand it. But everything you do, if you talk like a wild man like me, I don't prepare. I riff. That's a place that's hard to copy me because that's the way I talk already. I like real time, so I put myself in scenarios where it's clearly I'm not reading. I used to go outside and walk the street all the time because everybody thought I was reading, just to prove I wasn't. Numbers come very naturally to me. So I just needed to figure out a way where you could watch my full video without boring yourself to death. But we can think about the same topic. That's why I don't think it's competitive. You could copy all my videos. You shouldn't do a new version of mine or find your own way and all that bullshit that everybody says. You should take the topic and say, he probably already optimized it. Good name. And then, like, if you read a news article, it's interesting. Don't read the news article, read the title, and then say, with this title, what would I want someone to find? That's what I do. Like 10 best place to retire. I'm deciding what means best, why, when. It should 10 versus 5. I don't watch the content though. If people did that and they applied that tilt, and tilt's personality. It's not I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's easy. That's also a part of it. But you don't need to make that the reason people relate. You can be better than that. What they like is the way you do everything you're doing. They're like, that guy's generally more analytic. Oh, he also is this and also is this. You don't have to name your channel that. You don't have to say you're that person. It's too narrow. So if you literally, I think anyone in the room, if they were like decent at figuring it out eventually, I think you could have one conversation and create a whole persona around like I know what I would do with both of you. If like you just got to find a way where like, if you win, you could be you're the only one that could, you know? So
wow.
I think that's the beauty in it.
I love that. And I know that
I have a meeting in a minute.
I know we're getting close on time, and I just want to say, like, deliberate. If you could take anything from this episode, Adam is very deliberate with every single thing that he does, and it's absolutely amazing, man. And I know Dan has a meeting coming up soon, so Dan, thanks as always for co-hosting.
Nice meeting you, Dan.
Nice meeting you, Adam. I'll definitely.
I know that he's going to be getting out of here soon. And value. Comment, like, subscribe down below. All the links for Adam Hancock, Sunshine State Real Estate Company. Check them out. We're going to have you back on, Adam, because we flew through freaking 46 minutes like it was like a minute.
I can't stop talking.
Dude, it's great, man. We absolutely love it. So thanks to all of viewers and listeners for checking in and watching today's episodes, as is our intention for you. Take things from our episode, apply to your business, more massive success. Subscribe to the notification bell Friday, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. We'll see you for new episodes each week. Adam, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Dan. Appreciate you.
Bye.
And until the next one.
Thank you.